Boom, 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 everybody, and happy Saturday to you. I hope you are having an amazing Saturday and an amazing weekend. Also, I hope everybody has had a great holiday week for sure. We're finishing up Thanksgiving weekend over here in the U.S., but for all my other viewers, it's been a holiday weekend, so I appreciate everybody that joins in, gives me a little bit of your time this Saturday, and I hope you're ready to have an amazing episode. My name is Don Terrell. I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion. I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I am just crazy about. You know the drill. Hop into the comments, say, hey, where you tuning in from, so that, maybe I can give you a shout out and, make you the superstar that you are. Also, don't forget to join our Facebook group community, facebook.com/group/The Color of Motion. Come join the family. We're having a lot of fun over there, having some great conversation, sharing industry news, and just all around fun. I love a big family, so I am really trying to make this group grow. So, again, come on in and join the family. Also, like to tell you as we close out, this is another thing I'm excited for, is this is the final episode of the season, getting ready to kick off our little short hiatus before we come into the new year. So this is another big milestone. This is the final episode this season, so really looking forward to sitting down with my next guest. As always, like I said, we got some big things planned for the new year. Definitely want to hear from you. You can connect with me on all my social channels here. Like I said, getting feedback from you helps me to really refine the show, make it as tight as I possibly can. Let me know what guests you may want me to try and get on. Like I said, as much as I can try and make this show grow, this helps me to get even bigger and better guests for sure. So give me your feedback. Like I said, I always love hearing from the viewers. Like I said, it helps to make the show better for sure. Also, the store is open, so make sure you hop on over to the store, pick you up some swag items. It's the holiday season. It make a great gift. We have some great shirts, hoodies, mugs, constantly putting new things into the store. So make sure you hop on over to colorofmotion.net/swag and pick you up something nice, or pick up something nice for somebody else. Like I said, it's the holiday season coming up, so makes for a great gift as well. Also, like I said, we are here each and every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Time, live to the YouTube channel, live to LinkedIn and the Facebook group and the website for the show. But I always kind of encourage people to hop on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification, comment, because that definitely helps the algorithm. And there you can check out all the other past great episodes that we've had. Yeah, like I said, make sure you get plugged in. Definitely want to grow the channel because I'm looking to put even better content up on the channel in 2024. So, again, don't want you to miss out on anything like that. Want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor for the show, DG Graphics. They do all the graphics, overlays, animations for the show, help us to look good. And if you are a business or a brand that's looking to level up your brand design, your content, definitely reach out to them because they can help you, again, look good like me. So thank you, DG Graphics, for always being a great sponsor for the show. So with that, like I said, I think we're pretty good to go to kick this show off for sure. Again, like I said, I'm super excited about this episode. So what do you say we get this train on the tracks? Yes, we are back and ready to get this show on the road. Like I said, I've been super excited about getting my next guest on. Like me, he's a motion graphics artist and love motion design. So I'm looking forward to sitting down, chopping it up with him, and touching base with him for sure. Excuse me there, people. All right. My next guest is a motion designer based in London, originally from Hong Kong, and he got into motion graphics after wanting to be a filmmaker, visual effects artist as a teenager. He decided motion graphics was more aligned with his passion and has been moving shapes around ever since. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Yat Fung Leung. Yat.
Hey.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for the applause. Oh, didn't need that. Guys, calm down, please.
Like I like to say, we like to make our guests feel like the superstars that they are. And I'm so excited to have you on. Like I said, fellow motion designer and animator as well. And just really looking forward to diving into your story, your journey, and talking about, all things motion design.
Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to be the final episode of the season. Feel kind of nervous now. It's like the last one. Have to end it with like a bang.
Don't be nervous. Like I said, we're here to have some fun. I try and make it as fun and as comfortable for my guests and friends as possible. And like I said, been really looking forward to really having you on your show ever since we connected, saw your work. I was like, wow, really impressed with what he does. So I got to get him on the show for sure.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
First, where did you receive your education in animation? Was it in Hong Kong or was it in London?
So a little bit of background. When I was I started off watching YouTube tutorials when I was a teenager. I say like 15, 16. And then when I went to uni, I actually went to Cardiff in the University of South Wales to study visual effects and motion graphics.
Okay.
So it's just a bunch of that. And then when they were like, okay, you get to choose a path, visual effects and motion graphics, I decided motion graphics was the way to go. And then, the rest is all history.
Yeah. So what was it about motion graphics that kind of swayed you from VFX?
I think I tell everyone this. It's because I wanted to sit on my butt and like be in front of a computer the whole time. And
Well,
like
don't they
I
do
know
that with visual effects?
yeah, that's true. But sometimes they go outside, and I'm like, I kind of don't want to go outside, so like I can stay at home. Um, but I think the allure of motion graphics is that it's like so abstract.
Yeah,
Like if you go to the time back in like 2016, 2017, there's a lot like moving shapes and stuff,
yeah,
and I loved that. Like how people can still understand like what it's trying to do, even though it's just moving shapes and stuff.
yeah.
So that's what drew me in.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, that was. I mean, for me, like I said, I started out doing graphic design, just traditional graphic design. So, but I always loved animation, and I always loved like visual effects, animation. But when, like I said, I got my degree in graphic design, motion graphics seemed like a great pair for the two. My love of graphics and my love of moving things around
Moving
like you.
things around. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. And it's not like motion graphics and visual effects are like dissimilar. They're
Yeah,
kind of similar,
yeah, because they
You know.
still use motion graphics, and like it's part of the VFX process, I guess. And
Exactly. Yeah,
you
it's
know,
like it goes in between. There's like a little bit of a gray area, but motion graphics is still my thing. It's like
yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, what for you has been the most challenging part of learning, motion graphics and motion design? I mean, because it is so, even though they're closely related, it is a different kind of discipline than VFX,
Mm.
different software, different kind of, getting things done and filmmaking. So, what was the most challenging thing for you learning motion design and
Mm.
motion graphics?
I think there are a lot of challenging things, but okay, mostly it's because motion design is also to do with design in the first place. So you have to learn the principles of design.
Yeah,
Like in visual effects, it's more about realism. It's more about learning about the real world in most cases. But motion design is like you have to learn how to draw people in, like color, shapes, framing, all that sort
yeah,
of jazz,
yeah,
and you have to create it from scratch, like from in front of a computer, or if you're doing stop motion. So yeah, it's more about the design part.
yeah.
The
And I
moving part
have to,
is like
and
fine.
I have to ask you because, like I said, this has been a kind of obviously a big buzz in the industry, and a lot of this has started to really crop up. And I've started having this conversation with a lot of my guests. Um, AI and how AI is kind of bleeding in. You were just mentioning the principles of design
Yeah.
and really understanding the principles of design. First, what are your thoughts on AI and how it's kind of encroaching in? I hate to say encroaching because it sounds like it's a bad thing, but it's
Yeah.
really starting to come into the industry. Um, but that was kind of my thing about just AI is it's not going to give you that kind of design kind of principles, understanding the
Mm.
design kind of aspect of it as a human would.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on AI, and have you kind of played around a little in regards to what you're doing and some of the work that you're doing?
Yeah. I can't believe you're diving straight into this, like
Hey, we
straight
we
in.
dive right in, baby. We dive right in.
Man, AI. You might be surprised that I've not touched it like at
Okay.
all, like not a single bit. I think early on when Dali and Midjourney were like
Yeah.
really like basic, that's when I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then all of a sudden you realize you're like, oh, they're getting good, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
Dolly and
yeah,
Mid Journey are like, ooh, the stuff coming out
going
of there is
crazy.
crazy. Yeah,
But I get what you mean. And I completely agree with you. That I think that's the same point that I would make, which is there's no design or there's no intention. Like the AI doesn't understand what art is. It's just if you understand the architecture behind the AI, the imagery stuff, it's just a bunch of pictures melded together, and then they're spitting out whatever prompt that you were trying to make.
yeah,
So they don't really understand it. Like there's no real intention, no um, intentional marks, no stuff like that, and it's all very generic stuff. So currently, I'm not so worried about that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like in the future, it just keeps growing. Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, and I tell people, like I said, I look at it as a tool, like
Mm,
Photoshop, like Illustrator, like any other tool that's used to enhance whatever it is or kind of quicken the process of whatever it is that you're doing. I
hmm
don't think, like I said, as much as I'm not on the hard side like I was when it first came out. I've kind of
hmm
gotten on middle ground. Like I
Yeah,
said, I see the potential of what it could do to aid creators in their process of creation, but they're
yeah,
not using it solely as their tool. Most
yeah, yeah.
creators that I know, like I said, I think the ones that are really using it, and it's the ones that are kind of getting the press, so to speak, are the
Mm,
non-artists or non-designers that are using it because they can't animate, they don't know how to animate, they aren't artistically inclined,
yeah,
or
yeah.
they don't understand they haven't gone to art school to learn the skills traditionally. So it's a way to use it. But most artists that have gone to art school in some form or fashion or learned the skill, gone through the time, they're just using it as an aid to
Mm,
iterate, ideate ideas and stuff like that. So I think it's a great tool to aid the creator, but I
yeah.
don't think it takes the place of a creator
Mm,
myself.
mm.
And you're starting, like I said, I see a lot of people using it in interesting ways. Um, there's a
Yeah, I mean, there's like I also believe it doesn't shouldn't take the place of the creator. I think the people who are in the spotlight are the people who are like think they know everything about art, but turns out they know absolutely
no,
nothing, and they're just using AI to like do a bunch of stuff. But I did see some really nice like ways of using it, but this is really early on, and again, I haven't used it. It's like tiling textures, for example, like creating simple textures, rough maps for 3D stuff, and everything like that. Things that don't really, um, they're not, how to say it? They're not directly influencing the creative process. They're just making it slightly easier or doing things that even the artist doesn't want to do.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah. Like
There's
retopology is another one, which is that's
yeah,
different. That's not imagery AI, but things that the artist just wants to skip and like I just want to move on to my thing faster.
yeah. There's a company out there, and I love watching their videos. And they're filmmakers, and they do visual effects and stuff like that. Film, and I don't know if you've seen them. Film Riot. They
Mm,
have a YouTube channel. Like I said, they're filmmakers and VFX artists. But they did a video where they did like this kind of. They were trying to recreate an opening sequence from a show, um, where it showed like this character floating in the sky and all these rocks were starting to come up, and it was in this
mm,
kind of gothic church background. But they used AI to create a matte painting of the church in the
mm,
background, and of course animated everything else traditionally in After Effects and stuff like that. But they only used it for that one element, and it was really, like I said, it took the tedious process of painting a matte painting or creating some type of artwork to go in the background that it's going to be
yeah.
really kind of blurred out for the most part. And
Mm.
it came out really cool. And I don't know if you've seen Corridor Crew. Uh,
Yes, yeah, I've seen it with
they tried to do
the
that.
anime thing.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
anime, and it looked cool. Like I said, it was a pretty good thing. But even that, they shot the video and they shot themselves, acting
Yeah.
out all the characters. So it was really just like I said, a tool that was used to give it a 2D feel.
Mm.
So that's why
Yeah.
I say I don't think it's going to take the place of storytellers and creators that are
Mm.
creating. But again, like you said, it can take the tedious tasks away of what somebody
Yeah.
might be doing, you know,
Yeah,
type of
but I
thing.
mean, there's like a fine line, like a gray line, like where it isn't more about taking away from the creators. Surely, the people who are using AI art also want to be storytellers. They're not taking the story away, unless they're using ChatGPT to like formulate something. In that
And
case,
even
it's like
then,
it's not
yeah,
even
and
them.
even then,
They're
they'll
like
probably pick out really quick. Man, this
they're
is
like
Chat
write a
GPT.
cool story and then make yeah all that
I don't
jazz.
even think it could do that. Like I said, even though it's
Oh
touching
man,
of
I think no, I think it could do that. I think it'll be like, wow, I'm quite surprised.
well, I
um,
mean, and even then, like I said, because you know, obviously AI isn't just touching our industry; it's touching
no, it's touching
literature,
everything.
it's touching
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Um,
Even
it,
music, which I think they're
yeah,
gonna be like really clamoring down on that because I think the main thing is I think IP and also like when big industries start using it, that's where artists fall off because we're not just as artists or even designers. I think in general, we don't just create because we want to create, we also want to earn money while creating.
yeah,
So when a big company decides to replace someone's like um, employment with AI, that's where flags start getting flagged, and it's really not cool anymore.
yeah, for sure. And that's why I say I think they still got a long way to go as far as like the legalities. You know, of
Mm,
course, we're starting to see a lot more um, laws being and things being put in
yeah.
place to really protect. Obviously, that was a big part of the actors strike is their likenesses being used in perpetuity of
Mm,
them not being
yeah.
in the
The
next
same with the
movie.
writer's strike,
you
where they
know
were like, don't use AI to like feed in their scripts and stuff. Yeah.
so I think there's still, like I said, it's almost still like the Wild West where people are just using it and shooting it off. But as they
Yeah.
start to lock down more of the laws, because I know over here Biden just passed a copyright law in regards to AI. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
as I don't know the logistics of the whole thing, but it was kind of a proposal. I don't know if it's getting passed and all, but he just put out this law bid to restrict kind of AI and
Mm,
copyright. So I think as more instances crop up with companies using stuff in people's artwork or illegally or without their consent, we'll start to
yeah.
get more and more voices about, hey, we need to draft some kind of law. I mean, we're
Mm,
already, like I said, losing a lot of money with just companies that are using stuff and we're not getting compensated for it.
yeah.
So it's still got a long way to go, but I am excited about the possibilities of what AI can do to aid the creator. And
Yeah.
again, I don't take the creator out of the process, and I don't think you'll ever will. Um,
Mm,
like I said, I think, and I had this conversation with one of my guests, and she's a illustrator, storyboard artist,
mm.
um, talking about using, and like I said, it's creeping into not just design but script. People are, like you said,
Yeah.
just coming up with scripts out of chat and stuff like that. And I think, like I said, there's just, she made this great point about, I mean, as creators, we're doing it to bring this human perspective
Mm,
on it, and I think there's only so far that AI will go when it comes to writing. Say you can sit down and say, I want a love story. Write me out a script for a great love story and stuff like that. I think at a
yeah.
basic level, the person even who's prompting it in has to have an understanding of the structure of how he wants it, as opposed to just letting AI just spit it out, and or even
Yeah,
if
that's
it
true.
spits it
Like,
out, just proofing it. And I think that's a big thing with with AI now too. People are just taking what comes out of AI verbatim, as opposed to really reading it, refining it, adjusting it, and kind of having that back and forth. Because that's the whole thing about AI is they say it's an iterative thing. You have to go back and forth. No, can you move this, tweak this here, type of thing, and really have this kind of. It's almost like you're having a dialogue with AI, and you're art
Yeah.
directing AI to kind of give you what you want. And I think a lot of people are just kind of like I said, oh, it spit me out this article, it spit me out this post. Let me post it without even really looking at it to see if it's structured the way they want it and it's really correct. And it's
Hmm.
funny because I was having this conversation with last week's guest about just I think the dangers of what AI could. I think that's the big thing. We're running so fast with this, we haven't really stopped to think about the
What it could do instead.
what it could do with just
Yeah.
taking. I could take, like, if I was really say mad at you or had a vendetta against you, take your video, take a video of you and have you saying anything. I could sample your
Yeah.
voice. So there's this fine line about, and you know how we are as far as just posting something on social media. People will run with it whether it's true or not true. It,
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know, so that's,
Um,
I think, a danger, and especially as it pertains to politics. I think
mm,
that they're really going to have to rein in on that real quick, because they're already getting these kind of instances where this party or that party is putting out something from AI, and people, even though it's not true, people will run with it, and just
yeah.
take it. So it's it's a very slippery slope. I mean, but I
Yeah,
see
it,
the
it kind of
potential of
is.
what it can do.
I mean, there's I've been getting a lot of things on my feed lately about like scams,
Yeah,
like where people are being scammed because they're like their brother or their daughter has been like, oh, in a car accident or something like that. And then turns out that voice isn't even theirs, it's just scraped from something like that. And it was just AI just analyzing someone's voice, getting their cadence down, and then can generate whatever they want.
yeah,
Which is scary. It is definitely very upsetting. But yeah, it's
yeah.
yeah,
And I think that's the nature. I mean, obviously, that's the nature of any. Like I said, I feel like it's a tool, and that's the nature of any tool. There are always going to be some people that use a tool the wrong way,
hmm,
and the way it wasn't intended to be used. Like I said, a gun is a tool, but obviously, there are people out there that can take that tool and kill people.
that's true.
A car is a tool, but
Hmm.
obviously behind some behind the wheel of somebody that's not using it correctly can hurt people.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
true. The
I
same
guess,
with I used to use this analogy, although AI is a lot crazy now. When Photoshop came out, and they're like,
mm,
"Oh man, we're gonna see a lot of people photoshopping other people's faces into naked bodies and things like that." And to an extent, that did happen, but you don't see that nowadays. And I
nah,
think it's because people are smarter, and here's the thing, there are limitations to Photoshop at the time and even now.
yeah,
And um
yeah.
yeah, the
But I
crazy
will
thing
say,
about AI, yeah,
Photoshop's generative tool is amazing. Like I
yeah,
said,
it's true.
it's gone leaps and bounds. Like I said, you could
Yeah,
have a cropped in photo and you just want to extend out the
want
photo.
to extend it out. Yeah.
Man, it does an amazing job. So, like I said, while it's a scary kind of thought as to how good
Yeah,
AI is just getting better and better,
that's true.
again, I feel more people are. I'm an optimistic person. I think there are more good people than there are bad people. But obviously,
And I
like I
think,
said, I feel
yeah.
like most people will use it the right way, especially creatives that are really
Hmm.
true creatives. I think
Yeah,
will use it the right way.
maybe we should just limit the tool to creative, or we'll put it behind pull it behind a subscription paywall, which actually it's already
Yeah.
happening, isn't it? They're already doing it.
And yeah, like I said, although yeah, I guess it is a subscription. Photoshop they're doing their generative tool on a credit basis. So you
Oh
get like
really? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
you get like I don't think they've officially rolled it out yet,
Uh-huh.
but you get 1,000 credits.
I think
And
that's sort of the same as their stock image, Adobe stock thing happening,
yeah,
which I think it kind of makes sense. I think because
um,
generative fill is basically taking their Adobe's like their stock images and kind of
yeah, that's a good thing about Adobe. They're staying within their kind of ecosystem as
yeah.
far as
And
if it
there
pulls
are
images.
times where it's like you want to maybe paint someone out or something like that, you know, like and you just don't want to get the hassle of Photoshop getting it wrong. Generative fill will probably do it
Oh man,
pretty
yeah,
damn good job for it.
it does. Like I said, I played
Yeah.
around with it a little. Obviously, and I attended online their Adobe Max, and was watching the demos. It, like I said, Adobe's AI and generative tool does an amazing job, and it's
Mm.
definitely leaps and bounds ahead of content aware. Their first
Yeah.
one, it's leaps and bounds ahead
Yeah.
of that. And so, like I said, I could just imagine as they just refine it and refine it, how much better it's going to get.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like in the hands of a creative, I think most creatives will use it right. Because trust me, like I said, uh, um, what's their brush? Their content aware brush. I would much
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
AI, just do it all in one whop. Say, hey, take this person out, as opposed to trying to brush it out and paint it out myself or
Yeah. Yeah.
extend the
Exactly.
photo. So there, like I said, I see the possibilities and the benefits of what AI can do in the hands of a good creative, and
Mm.
how they can use it. But
Yeah.
again, there are going to be people out there that are going to try and make a buck off of it and try and get quick, money off of
Oh
it and
yeah. For
use it the
sure.
wrong way. So I
Yeah.
think that's just the nature of it. What are some of the types of motion design that really inspires you, that you've kind of looked at and said, man, that's like really cool motion design animation?
Um. Well, here's a funny thing. I haven't really been in touch with the motion design industry for a little bit. I don't know. I guess I've been too busy watching other shows and stuff.
Well, what are the type of shows that you like watching? Because there's a lot of great, animation,
Yeah,
visual
this like
effects.
oh man, that's been a good year for animation this year.
Yeah,
It's been a really good year for animation.
yeah. I don't know if you've seen. Uh, I just got done watching Blue Eyed Samurai
Oh man,
on
that's on my list. I have to watch it. I gotta
that
watch it.
is a
It
great
looks really
animation.
good.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
raunchy. I thought a little more raunchier than I thought it was going to be, but it was really
Really?
good. Yeah,
Raunchy?
yeah. You got to
Really?
watch it.
All
It
right,
has
all right.
this. Yeah, you got to watch it. But it's
That sounds cool.
really well done, and it's a
Yeah,
really great style. So, like you said, there's been a lot of great animation, and
yeah.
obviously a lot of great visual effects in movies and things like that.
I think
What are some
like
of the ones that really kind
yeah.
of caught your eye?
Honestly, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
I've heard that. I haven't
Midget
seen
Mayhem
it, but I've heard that's been
is
really good.
good.
Is
It's
it?
really good. I was so surprised by how good it is. I was like,
Wow.
wow,
I'm gonna have to
incredible.
watch it. I was never much
Yeah.
of a even like I said, when it was in its cartoon,
Yeah.
form on
Honestly, me
TV.
neither, but it was the style, it was the charm, and it's just had so much heart that I was like,
Okay,
wow,
I'm gonna have to
incredible.
watch it now because, like I said, I've heard great things about that for sure.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
really, really good. Yeah. I think there are
Interesting.
others as well. What else is there? But for the life of me, like I've watched a lot of shows, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Just like on a Castlevania Nocturne is really good.
I've heard, yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
it's
one.
good as
That's a good
well.
one. There's a lot of
Yeah.
good ones out there. Like I said, I don't know if you've seen Nimona. Nimona is a great
Oh, I did see
animation.
Nimona. Nimona
Yeah,
is good.
yeah,
Nimona
Nimona
is
is
so good.
really good.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones. Um, which brings me to my next point is, as far as the industry, you're obviously, and I've talked to a lot of artists that it's been really hard getting into, the industry, which seems kind of strange to me because they're coming out with all these all these new animations, but you're seeing
Crazy
all
cool
these
animations.
layoffs that are going
Yeah,
on, and it's
I don't
like,
know
oh,
what's going on, man. You're asking to rob. I was looking at this. Even just touching on like a more personal thing. Like I started freelancing last year, and it was
yeah,
a really good year for me. So I was like, wow, I'm gonna keep going. And then this year sucked. It was the worst year, and I thought it was just me, but everyone was feeling it.
yeah,
Like it was like some people were like thinking like, oh, because since COVID,
yeah.
a lot of tech companies hired a lot of people, and then afterwards, since COVID is gone, they hired too many people, so they start laying people off, and then
Yeah.
it started trickling down to us, which motion designers we normally touch on the online company basis, which is why we kind of felt the shake. But yeah, also animators and designers and artists, they're starting to feel it. And
Oh
maybe it's
yeah.
also the AI business, but I have no idea why. Um, there's a collective amount of things, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like, and again, these are conversations that I've had with a lot of people. I have a friend, he's a game animator,
Oh yeah,
animates for the game industry, but he's been looking for the longest, got to be a year, trying
yeah.
to get into a studio and stuff, and it's
Damn.
just, just been tough. But I feel like a lot of studios, especially now, they're doing these kind of project by project basis, so they can,
Yeah.
they have a core group of people that work there. But
Hmm.
when a project comes in, they'll ramp up and hire contractors, and then once the contract is done, they
Yeah.
let people go and just ramp up and down
And I think
as
that's
needed.
that's well, for me, freelancing is a project to project basis. Like they, unless you're like really trusted and you're like a permalancer, you don't really work for like 6 months or something. Usually it's
Yeah.
just project to project basis. And visual effects as well. I think I have a couple of visual effects friends, and they sort of do it on a project to project basis as well, but not really as freelance, like more like contracts. But for some
Mm,
reason the contracts are like 3 to 6 months, which is really crazy to me.
yeah.
But
What,
yeah,
crazy long or crazy short?
crazy short. You have a
Mm,
contract. If you had
yeah.
a regular job and that contract is only for 6 months, I think that is crazy. That's insane. A year at the least would be like kind of comfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'd be working on these shows. Shows normally just movies and TV shows, not particularly anyone. And yeah, they just go off onto their merry way.
So what was the type of, like you said last year was a good year for you. What was the type of work that you were doing motion graphics for? Was it like corporate stuff, or was it like entertainment style motion
It was
design?
it was more to do with online. Oh, actually, let's see. Some of it was online advertising, I think, like social media stuff and everything, and some things were more like displays, and online banners. Um, but there's a few videos here and there. So yeah, and it was some really great work and really a lot of really cool artists that I always wanted to work with my whole life, but
Yeah.
never got the chance to until last year, which is awesome. It's really cool.
So what do your typical projects stretch out to time wise? Is it like a month or a couple of weeks or a couple of
I think
months?
it
Where do
would
your average kind of fall?
maximum 2 months, like a normal sort of thing. So usually production starts, and then they won't. Some people don't bring you in right in the beginning.
Yeah.
Some of them just like bring you in halfway through if you need it, and then. But in terms of like a from beginning to end, it is usually 2 months. One 2 months is the longest, I think.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And then there'll be some which are like 3 4 months, and that's like a whole package at that point. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it obviously, like I said, we're kind of in the same space. So I'm really curious, especially since you've gone to freelancer, so you're basically you're an entrepreneur. You're the one that's bringing in the work and finding the work. Is a good
Hmm.
portion of your work like referrals, or how are you going about getting projects and connecting with
Mhm.
clients?
I think for me, thankfully, because I have like a good social presence, social media presence, so people usually reach out through Instagram or through email because they saw my portfolio and then they emailed me. Not a lot of referrals, but that's really because I just started freelancing
Yeah,
and not that many people know me yet.
yeah,
So, um,
yeah,
but all the companies that I have worked with, all the studios that I have worked with, they do come back, sometimes, but not as referrals. No one has really been like, "Hey, I heard you from someone else. Do you want
yeah.
to work and something like that?" And yeah,
Now,
usually
is
it's
it
more
just
so social
you?
media.
I mean, is it just you, or do you have, say, like an assistant that's helping you with your social media side,
Hell
or?
no, it's all just me. Are you kidding me? Oh yeah, hire a.
Hey, I don't
I'm
know,
just one man. I don't have that kind of money. Are you kidding me? Assistant.
Well, man, I thought maybe because I used to, like I said, I used to have a virtual assistant a couple of years
Oh,
ago,
I
and she was
see.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
but just to help me with a lot of the tedious stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was kind of up and down as projects came in. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
okay, she worked solely for me, and I was providing her whole salary and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But um, I know as solopreneur, independent person,
Mhm.
um, and kind of keeping it small. But I do contract out. Like if I'm working on a big project, I do like
Yeah.
contracting out, and I made relationships with other motion designers and other people that I need on that project. I'm always interested in, like I said, how you know your kind of jump, especially like I said, since you're new, and I'm assuming, before you started going freelancing, you were working at like a 9 to 5
Yeah, I
at a
was working
company.
in at an agency back in Hong Kong. So,
So
yeah.
the shift of, okay, because this has kind of been my challenge of, you know, you're working for a company, so you don't have to go out and hunt to get your food.
That's true. Yeah.
Actively
Yeah.
hunt to get your food. The owner is bringing in the project. This
Yeah.
shift of now learning how to run and make a successful business, career.
Mhm.
How has
Yeah.
that been for you? Because I know for me, that's been the challenging part because I'm a creative. So learning how to run the nuances of running a business and being a person that's, you know, it's on you now to do all of
Yeah.
this stuff and make it successful.
Yeah. Well, I actually find that part kind of fun. The business side. I don't know why. I just thought it's kind of, interesting.
I need to start drinking what you're drinking.
Whiskey with soda water, lemon.
I
I
need
have
to
one
get me a glass of
right
whiskey.
here. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's just really interesting. Okay, I'm sure if you've had a lot of motion designers on your show, I'm sure you have. They all or freelancers. They all talk about this like freelance manifesto by Joey Corman.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
book.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So
love it.
I don't want to go through it, all right? Because I'm sure you've heard it many times. It's a good book. Anyone who wants to pick it up, please pick it up if you want to look into freelancing as a motion designer. Um, so I followed that book, and that book was what got me started, like really interesting. It's all about like social presence and like cold
Yeah,
emailing people and all that
yeah, yeah,
stuff. And it's
yeah.
kind of cool, interesting. But I'm not very good at it because what happens is I make friends and I never work with them. It's, they're great friends. They're amazing friends, but I've never worked with them. And all the people that I actually do work with, they actually just emailed me, and I just got lucky. So,
Really, really.
yeah,
Wow. So what? I mean, and I've heard great things. I love watching. Like I said, I've actually thought about going to school, taking
School
some of
emotion.
the courses from School of Motion.
They're
But I
great,
do like
amazing.
watching his videos and all of that. Um,
I think he has a
and
new course about doing freelance business or like
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
With me, it's more time. You
yeah.
definitely
I get
gotta
it.
you definitely gotta have the time to commit to doing the work homework and all of that stuff. So that was the only thing that kind of stopped me from that. But I do, like I said, love his content, and heard about heard his book, and gotten great raves of it.
Mhm.
But I've always wondered, like I said, what for you, like you said, it was a good book, but a lot of your stuff is, I mean, what did you pull from the book that really kind of helped you grow?
I think it was more the confidence in communicating with someone. Like when you're a freelancer, when you just start, for example, you have absolutely no idea what's going on. You don't know the rates. You don't know how to communicate with people. And then the book just tells you is like, be confident, do this, do that. They even have like templates sometimes, even though I
Yeah,
never use them. You just take the little snippets. But the whole intention is to get them hooked and make them feel like you're a good person and then just stick to it. So basically, making a good friend.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I made too many good friends, but
So for you, was that hard finding your rate, or what your worth of what? Hey, this, to do this, this is this, and being okay with um turning down a project that you felt
yeah,
wasn't. Hey, that's way more work than what I'm willing to.
I think it's difficult because when it was my first year, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like, I know how much worth I am. Like, I kind of be like, I'm probably a mid designer, something like that. I asked around what the rates were, and people were really transparent, just telling me what the rates were. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll just bring it down because I'm like, I just started, right? I don't want to scare off too many people, but I also don't want people to think I'm cheap.
Yeah,
So I scaled it down, and then this year scaled it up, just like bit by bit, so that way it kind of grows. And when I have people's trust, I can be like, "Hey, my rate's gone up. Just letting you know," and they'd be like, "Okay." And I'm there's this like consensus where like if you keep raising it up until they start negotiating, that means you hit the right mark. I'm too scared to hit that mark. I don't want to lose people. I
oh man, I don't know if you've heard of Chris Doe.
yeah. Oh man,
He
that guy.
he yeah, actually he's gonna be on the show next month, or
Is he?
yeah,
What?
January. I finally got
That's crazy. You
that
got
was a
him.
hard catch. So I'm looking forward to that because uh, I consume a lot of Chris Doe's content, and
Uh,
he always raves about the Pitch Manifesto book.
oh, I haven't heard of that one. Is
Yeah,
that
hold
is that
on.
something he wrote, or is it like a
No, it's by somebody else, but he just swears by the book.
pitch manifesto?
The Win Without Pitching Manifesto.
The
It's a
win
really
without.
good book, and he swears by it.
Okay,
He's always
interesting.
promoting it. Um, but yeah, he's going to be on the show in January. I finally
You
was
finally
able
got
to.
it.
Yeah, I finally
Finally
got
got
him.
it.
I finally got him. I'm looking forward to it. But
The pitch
he's,
manifesto. Mhm.
he. What I like about him is he's a creative, but he really is focusing now, obviously, on the business
He's
side.
very
How to,
much the business guy. Yeah,
yeah,
he's like,
business and how to,
yeah,
you know, set your pricing, how to talk to potential clients, that type of thing.
yeah.
Anchoring your product, your prices. So, do you do hourly versus just a project by project price? And say
Hmm.
you look at the project, see what the
Yeah.
project entails, and then okay, this is what it's going to take to do this project. Or
So what I found was this changes region to region. I'm talking about the world.
yeah,
Um, you guys probably do hourly rates. US, like probably
a lot
over
of people
here,
do.
a lot
Yeah,
of people do. In Europe, or at least in the UK, I think Europe sort of similar. They do day rates. So by day, 8 hour day, or something like that. In Asia, or at least Southeast Asia, where I came from, it's project rate. So when I go and quote like day rates and stuff to them, they kind of like don't understand. They're like, "Oh, well, okay, can you do it like a whole number instead?" Like that kind of makes more sense.
yeah,
Um, I don't really know why. I think it's just the nature of how they work. So Yeah,
Yeah.
so project it's different region to region. So when I get a
Yeah.
client back from Hong Kong, they'd be like, "Oh, give us a project rate." I'll be like, "Sure," and stuff
Well,
like
I
that.
know, like I said, people like Christo, and most of the, I mean, I think over here, I think a lot of freelancers or ones that are just starting out, they'll go hourly rate,
Mm,
but obviously, the ones that are more seasoned
mhm.
designers and motion designers usually will quote a project rate. And I know
Oh,
Chris
really?
though, yeah, I know Chris is like really more on the project based side as opposed to charging an hourly rate because you're
Yeah,
factoring in not just hourly, but you're factoring in, like you said, the value, your skill set into that whole
yeah,
project.
yeah. That's
He
something I
says
don't
it's
like about the hourly rate. It feels like you have to track your time
you,
all
yeah.
the
And see,
time,
that's
and
what
it's
I
kind of
said.
like, mm,
He hates the hourly, and he really feels like you're undervaluing yourself when you do an hourly rate because, like I said, you're not factoring in a lot of other stuff as
yeah,
opposed to just hey this. And I've since kind of moved more towards a project base now. If you want to break it down for you to understand the hourly rate, you can break it down, just divide it by
yeah.
8. But
That's
I'll
true.
quote.
Yeah,
I like quoting. I quote a project,
yeah.
and I like to look at the scope of what the project is,
That's true.
and see that
There's
way.
another thing. It's for me, day rates really apply more to studios than they do to direct to client,
Yeah,
because direct to client is probably like they don't know. They're like, give us a timeline, give us like when I'm feeding back, when you're supposed to give us previews, and you're supposed to feed them all of that, like the schedule and everything. At a studio, you just say, oh, this is my rate.
yeah,
They'll do all the jazz for you, and they'll be like, okay, cool, works in our budget.
yeah.
Here's
So
your
do you
booking.
do you prefer like direct to client, or do you prefer working through a studio?
Oh, I like both. It's a little bit like one time I did hybrid working in a studio, and it's like it's just an analogy here. From Tuesday and Thursday, I'd come into the office, and when I go into the office, I'd be like, oh, I wish I was working from home. And then the next day, when I'm at home, I'm like, ah, damn it, I wish I was in the office. It's sort of the same. It's like you don't want to stick to one. Like I don't want to stick to one. I
Yeah,
kind of like working direct to client, but sometimes the client is so frustrating that you're like, oh,
yeah,
I wish I was in a studio. Someone deal with all this bullshit for me. And then you work in a studio, and you'd be like, oh man, I wish I was. Maybe it's like you're a small ant in this giant cog machine,
yeah,
a small cog in a giant machine, and you're like, oh man, I wish I was more creative. I wish I was more direct to client and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of both. You mix it around, and it's kind
yeah,
of fun. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Keep
for
it. Keep
sure.
it. You know.
Well, and so are the majority of the projects that you're working on, are they with clients or companies here in the U.S., or are they UK, or is it a mix of some in Hong Kong where you're from?
Yeah.
Where's the majority of the work that you're doing kind of coming from? And
There's
how
been a
is the
mix.
industry in
Um,
UK as far as motion design?
okay. Well, there's been a mix, but most of them is in the UK, and there's probably someone way more intelligent than me tapped into the motion design industry in the UK, but I don't know. I guess it's been okay. I'm- it's fine, I guess. I don't know. It's everyone knows each other. I think
Yeah,
it's very small, especially in London. It's something that I thought was crazy because you'd come to London. It's basically the Big Apple of the UK. You'd
okay,
come by and you'd be like, "Oh my god, it's
yeah.
so cool to see so many people." Everyone knows each other. It's like
Uh,
they've all worked with each other. It's crazy.
well, well, interesting. And which I do say, this industry, animation, motion graphics, as big as it is, it seems really small. People tend to
Still
kind of
small.
know each
Yeah,
other and
yeah,
and get work or pass work back and forth. around each other.
Yeah.
Like I said, for everybody just tuning in, we're having a fun conversation with my friend Yat here, super talented motion designer, and we're going to take a look at his some of his work, his demo
Okay.
reel, and then kind of come back because I love the style and really kind of want to dive into like your process for creating stuff and the tools that you're using and things like that. So let's take a quick look at some of Yat's work here.
この番組は書店とご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Like I said, oh man,
Yeah.
I was
I was cringing all the way through. I was like, oh shit, here we go again.
Oh
God
man,
damn it.
like I said, that was tame compared to some of the ones that I had. So, but I love, like I said, I love the style because it's like this kind of watercolory style almost. What are you? Okay, first, what are the tools that you're using? Are you using like After Effects or?
Yeah,
that
After
type of-
Effects. In this case, it was After Effects, Cinema 4D, and Redshift.
So you are creating 3D, the assets and things in 3D. And it's not like just 2D drawing and that you're animating that. It's
No, it
3D
definitely isn't. It was all in 3D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that
The
what
fun-
you prefer? Kind of doing 3D and then kind of taking it into that?
I think it wasn't the case of like, oh, I didn't want to do it in 2D. It was more of the case of, but when I was doing this project, it was more, let's try and do it in 3D. Like the pudding one was the first one I did, and I was like, let's try and replicate what lighting studies do, and just try and do it in 3D. Why not? It was kind of cool. So I was like, why not? Let's do it. It was the height of when Arcane and
That's what I was thinking while I was watching. So it's got this kind of Arcane feel to it.
Yeah. It was sort of like 2D, but not 3D, but not really. That sort of thing. So I was like, let's try it. Let's try it.
Yeah. Well,
and it evolved.
I think with the advent of, like I said, Arcane, obviously Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, you're getting this really kind of blend of stylized animations that look almost 2D cartoonish and really good. Like I said, I thought it was really well done, and it just fascinates me. I haven't dove into Cinema 4D. I like using Blender and trying to get myself up to Blender.
Blender is incredible. Like I started using it this year, and it's like what I did would have been way easier in Blender. Like it's Cinema 4D Redshift, I had to break the system in order to do what I did. So Blender is definitely easier.
Like I said, I love Blender for what it could do. Obviously, the price is right.
Oh, price is right.
And they just released, for those that don't know, Blender is free, but they just released 4, and like I said, got some amazing updates. And I've seen, like I said, just some sick, crazy animations, and
Yeah.
things coming out of Blender. And I think Blender is really starting to gain traction in
Yeah.
really building the industry. Before it was really kind of that stepchild off to the side there, but
Yeah.
I think it's grown exponentially every year. I think ever
Yeah.
since
I think
2.8.
I think nowadays when people are asking if there's any 3D artists, sometimes they'd be like, oh, Cinema 4D, whatever, because it's like box standard, right? For motion designers. But nowadays they'd be like, you can use whatever program you want. Some
Yeah,
people even want Blender animators, or they're like, we can use Blender, and it will try and bring it into our main pipeline and stuff like that. So it's really like
yeah,
nowadays anything goes.
yeah,
Honestly, it's
yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
it's how you use it. You know.
True. Like I said, even like I said, a very inexpensive tool in the hands of a great artist
Mm,
can make some amazing stuff. Um,
yeah.
and I wanted to ask you this because I just recently I guess it's the new version, but they've just recently released motion design elements and really kind of leaned into motion designers for Unreal. Um,
Oh yeah, they
and
did.
so they put in a lot of tools that make most just doing motion design. Have you had a chance to touch Unreal or kind of see
No,
it?
honestly, I haven't. I guess I've been always wanting to touch Unreal. In fact, I've always wanted to make a game, but
Yeah,
I've just been like too busy doing other things. So I was like, no, I definitely haven't had the chance to touch Unreal. It looks
yeah,
good though. It looks really good.
yeah. The tools that they've implemented for motion design look really cool. Like I said, I had it. I don't think I got it on my system. I just haven't cracked it
Mm,
open or anything like that. But definitely was a tool. And obviously, um, I don't know how it is over there in the UK, but over here,
mm.
they're looking for a lot of Unreal artists. If you know Unreal, you can do pretty well
Yeah,
as an
yeah.
Unreal
I think like
artist.
they've been doing a lot for like live graphics,
Yeah, yeah,
and VJing as well. That's another thing. Like,
yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Um, what what do you see as the kind of the next big thing in the industry as far as motion design and what we're doing? Do you see any kind of big trends kind of coming down the pipe?
I think um, there's gonna be a okay. I don't see it. I see it more in animation, but I think it might trickle down. It's the Spider Verse thing
Yeah,
um, going on, and I don't want to call it the Spider Verse thing because no one's copying Spider Verse. It just so happens that when Spider Verse came out, they're like, "You can do that? Holy
yeah, yeah,
hell,
yeah.
crazy!"
Oh man,
Um,
and it's funny because
so
I just got watching. I'll have to send it to you too.
yeah.
Blender tutorial of this guy Blender artist that recreated a spider, the Spider Verse scene. It looked
Oh,
amazing,
nice.
just like yeah,
Wow.
just
Yeah.
like it too. He showed how he did this and how he got the dot pattern look and
Yeah.
the refraction look and all of that.
Yeah.
It was really encouraging to see. Okay, wow, you could do that in Blender. So at least that's good to
Yeah.
know. But it was really interesting, and like I said, I'll make sure I send that link to you because I thought it was a really interesting video and just
Brilliant.
timely with what you were saying. People were kind
Yeah.
of starting to try and get that 2D kind of cartoon,
Yeah.
almost
I think
3D. It's an amalgamation of a lot of different styles, but I think Spider Verse because I love comic books. It just
yeah.
it was like you were reading or watching a comic book come to life. The way they were
Yeah.
just doing these sharp cuts, stop cuts, slow
Yeah.
motion type of pans. It was just really well done.
Yeah, that's what I think we would see more of. Not necessarily that hasn't been done before,
Yeah,
but more along the lines of motion design where people will pause and be like, "How the hell did they do that?" Like
yeah,
it's like using an amalgamation of techniques that no one has ever seen before
yeah,
and things like that. Because I
yeah,
think right now we're kind of oversaturated with a lot of tech videos and a lot of actually not enough 2D videos, to be fair. Like I want them to bring it back. I know Ordinary Folk is doing that
Yeah.
really cool stuff, but like,
Yeah.
you know, kind of the 3D CG sort of really prim and proper stuff. I think, you know,
Yeah.
I know that's for tech, but you know,
Well, I'm
move on.
curious, how did your parents kind of feel about you going down this route? I always like to see how, because you know, some parents, like I said, they don't quite, unless they're artists
Yeah.
themselves or something like that, they feel like, oh, you might want to have a
Um,
backup, or we don't think you should go down
so
this route.
the reason why I brought into motion graphics was because my parents were involved somewhat in the decision. So,
Okay.
like in your intro, it's that you said I wanted to become a filmmaker, and that's why my parents said, "No, you're not going to be a filmmaker." I was doing these little YouTube videos and stuff. It was like, I want to make some cool films, and they were like, "No," because it
No.
makes no money. And then I was like, fine, I'll do visual effects, which is the closest thing to it. And them understanding that it's sitting in front of a computer, and to them, like media, you know, you're doing like media production. It's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
broad, you know, you sit in front of a computer, you'll probably make money, you know, things like that.
Oh
And
man, that's too
yeah,
funny.
it was that is that sort of thing. So yeah, they literally were like, no, you're not. Like when we're choosing our unicorns, and some of them were like, oh, maybe I want to do filmmaking. Maybe I do want to do it. Like no, do media production. It's broad enough that you can get a lot of jobs offers. All right, and then you probably hit one of them. And I was like, you don't believe me or something? What's
Oh
going on?
man, I tell you, parents are always practical. They want
Yeah, they
something that
always
they feel
yeah
still stable. You know, it's like,
yeah.
oh man.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same when I went freelance. They were like, "No, don't go freelance. Get a stable job. Keep it stable. You know,
You get
like,
benefits
don't.
and all of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
benefits,
stuff.
everything. Like, don't be on your own." And then the first year,
Which is why
when I
I
came back,
say, if you're the person that likes to be a entrepreneur and
yeah,
freelancer type of thing, make sure you surround yourself around people that, like I said, are really gonna help move you, because
yeah,
it's
that's
easy to
true.
get discouraged, even though they're well intentioned. It's easy to
Yeah,
get off track and get people
it's
get you
super
down a
true.
path that's not
Yeah,
your path, or not the path
yeah,
that you really want to go.
yeah. To be fair, I like to think that I did it out of spite. Like, you know when parents are like, "Don't be an artist because it makes no money."
Yeah.
I think as a kid, ingrained in me, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be an artist and I'll be successful just to prove them wrong,
Yeah.
just to make sure. Yeah, got it. But
Yeah.
yeah, all my
I
friends
was,
were really supportive and everything. So
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I like to think I was fortunate. I mean, my mom didn't, she obviously didn't kind of she kind of felt, hey, you need a job, 9 to 5, get your benefits type of thing. But she
yeah,
saw my talent, so she didn't discourage it, So I know there are a lot of parents out there that really will discourage you
mm,
from, like I said, albeit well intentioned, they'll try, and other people. Like I said, I was really good about having teachers that really saw, my
mm,
my talent and encouraged me to kind of go down that path. But
yeah,
I think in the back of her mind, like most people, starving artists, you know,
yeah,
it's not gonna be
yeah.
stable
I get
type
it.
of thing.
Especially like back then, like from
Yeah,
from their age, like probably at their time, they're like,
yeah, yeah.
being an artist isn't really like only if you're really really good, like, and you have to be good. And
Yeah.
my son's not one of them. No.
Well, and to be honest, they weren't thinking, commercial artists, or they were thinking like
No.
painter. You're a
Yeah,
painter, and
for
you're on
sure.
the, you're in
Yeah.
your studio painting, and you're not gonna get rich till after you die or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nowadays, art touches so many things, and design touches so many things, everything really, because
It's
everything's got to
everything.
be,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
everything's
Yeah.
got to be marketed, advertised, promoted in some kind of way, whether it be in print form, video form, art form, whatever it is. It's got to be put out there. So there's obviously people that got to create that. So Yeah. Interesting
Yeah,
though. But it's
definitely.
good though. What's been the best piece of advice that somebody's given you that's really helped you?
Best piece of advice. Let's see. Um, just do what you want. Really, do whatever the hell you want, and don't let anyone tell you what to do. I guess. Yeah. I guess it's more the matter of this is more in a practical sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you do the work that you like, that work will like come to you. Like the work that you like will come to you for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
If you do
how
something, yeah, exactly. If you do something that you don't like, then you're gonna attract the wrong things. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And you know how I like to do when guests drop great nuggets? Drop
What the hell
bombs
is
on it.
this? What the hell is this? Oh
he
my
dropped
god!
he dropped the bomb there for nuggets.
Should I like
So.
react to it? I'd be like, "Oh, damn! Oh, it's
I
wrong way,
have
wrong
had
way."
I have had a couple of guests react to it. So. But that was great advice. I always tell people, find your passion, find your purpose, and when you can dial into that, it definitely is a much. Even though it may take you a little longer, or
Mm.
in some
It's like
cases,
you'll get there eventually. There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
way that
And
it
really,
won't
like I
happen.
said, I don't think it's. I try not to look at the end journey more so, or the end destination more so than the journey. Who am I
Mm,
becoming along the way? What am I learning along the way? And am
for
I
sure.
staying true to myself along the way? And the more you kind of align with those things, I think the closer you will be to reaching that end goal. But it really is, focusing on, I think that time in between, because I know a lot of people, like, especially a lot of students coming out, that are animators or something like that. Oh, I want to get into Disney. I want to get into Pixar. And that's a great end goal if that's where you want to
Yeah.
go. But what are you doing with that space in between? What are you learning? You may learn along the way that hey, I want to
I
start my
think,
own
yeah,
animated series or something like that on YouTube, or there's a lot of space in between. So focusing on how am I growing in between, because
yeah,
that growth in between may shift your,
trajectory.
vision on shift your trajectory off by a couple of degrees.
Yeah, that's sort of what I happened to me in uni. I think this is more for like students or like people who are just trying to find a way around. Just I can swear, right? I already forgot. Can I?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I
Well,
swear?
you don't
Okay,
already
yeah.
swear, so go
Dude,
ahead.
yeah, that's true. I was like, just fuck around and do like literally fuck around and just try out different things. Like when I was so adamant I wanted to do visual effects. Like when I was a kid, I was like so adamant. And then when I was fucking around in uni, I was like, actually, motion graphics sounds like the perfect thing for me. And
Yeah,
I never stopped from there. Like that was literally just a small little point, and I moved to motion graphics, and then now I'm like, I've never been happier. I think I wouldn't be as happy in visual
yeah,
effects. So like
yeah, yeah.
like for
And you
real,
never
like
know.
you,
You might get, an itch to
yeah,
do some type of visual effects. That's the beauty of this. There's so many different things, and I think about that too because I don't just like I said, I'm not a filmmaker, I'm not a
mm,
photographer, but I do like shooting video, and I do like kind of putting little stories together and stuff.
yeah,
I'm not like I said, straight animator per se, but I like to sit down in front of Blender and learn some stuff. I love AR. Haven't dabbled
mhm,
quite as much in VR, but I consider myself just a creative person. There's a lot of different tools out there to kind of use and kind of play, like you said, fuck around with and play with. You
yeah.
just never know what's gonna become of it and come out of it, and what you might learn from it. Uh, I always like to kind of dive a little in. Obviously, the show is really heavily into diversity. I would love to know your thoughts on just the industry, how you're seeing this rise of just, especially now in this time where creators got so many outlets of their own to get their content out there. that you're starting to see a rise in diverse content, diverse creators that are really kind of taking control of their own ideas, their own stories, their own things that they're wanting to create and tell it in their own way.
Yeah. I think it's a really good thing, especially when people have an outlet such as social media and things in order to get their work out there and um, really tell their story that they really want to tell. And usually it's like about identity and where they're from and all that stuff. I'm not one of those people. I tend to just do whatever I want. And but um, yeah, but also I think because of like what's going on right now, there's also this thoughtfulness in really trying to portray someone's identity and background
Yeah.
and being really true to themselves. Because back then there's a lot of really cliche things that happen most of the time, but now I think because of the outlet of the internet and people really speaking up to be more represented,
Yeah.
there have been a lot of really thoughtful things. Like,
Yeah.
have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I haven't seen that yet. I haven't, but I heard it's pretty good too.
Yeah. So it is really coming from like a Cantonese background, or more
Yeah.
like a Canton Southeast China background, and it for the first time I felt like I was noticed because I've never seen that in American media or like Western media.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, wow, like things are really starting to change. Like they're really thoughtful and precise and really just care
Yeah.
is really more what I'm trying to say. Like,
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think that's opened up again, like you said, with the advent of social media, platforms like social media, streaming.
yeah.
You got so many different styles, different stories. I don't know if you've seen My Dad the Bounty Hunter on Netflix.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Amazing. I had
Yeah, a little
Everett
bit of it. Yeah.
on. Yeah, I had him on as a guest, Everett Downey. But you're starting to see these, like I said, one, I love because I think all creators, even if they're working at a job or working at Pixar or Disney, they're always working on their own kind of stuff, on their own project. But now you're starting to see a lot more studios kind of, searching for new content because people are wanting different kinds of content now. You know,
Yeah.
every studio is having to evolve. I mean, Disney, that's been around for ages and ages, they know they have to evolve and change because, like I said, the times change. People want different stories. People want to see themselves in different stories, whether it's a sci-fi, whether it's a horror, whether it's 2D, 3D. People want to see their stories. And I think now, like I said, there's this, there's always been creators out there, but like I said, now that we have all these channels and avenues now to put our content out there, and make our own following. Heck, if you, really were determined enough and had enough drive behind you, you could do an animated series on YouTube and get millions and millions of followers or people. Like I said, you have creators like Mr. Beast that, he's grown himself to the point where he could turn down billions of dollars to get bought because he's built his own infrastructure. So I think it's a great time. I feel like it's a great time to be a creative, because you can get your idea out there and control your own idea and IP out there. Still, it's a lot of work, but you don't have to necessarily go to the gatekeepers now anymore to get your, to be worldwide.
There's so many like indie animations. And in fact, in motion design, remember when there used to be only a few motion design companies that like they're like oligopolies or something. It's like it's so few, and now it's like cropping up everywhere. So many.
Yeah.
Everyone can have an opportunity to do it. Like nowadays. Like,
and you're getting tools, like I said, like Blender, that are free, that
I know.
anybody can download, and a lot more affordable tools to really unleash and tap into that creativeness within you, for sure.
I think it's more and more accessible, and I think we're starting to see more unique and nuanced films, or like, pieces of content that is just, really thoughtful and true to themselves. Like, I
Yeah.
think the individualism, like that's what's pouring out of these like really cool things,
Yeah.
like their own
sure.
self. Yeah.
Like I said, I try and be, again, for everybody that's just jumping in, we've been having an amazing conversation with my man Yat here. Definitely, and we're coming up on an hour and a half. I know you asked me earlier how long are we.
Oh yeah. Well, no, that came
How
with
long
the
we
pre-show, right? It came with the pre-show. So that's all right. Not that bad. Technically, it's just like an hour.
But it is, like I said, rolling on 10:30 over in the UK, so I am trying to be mindful of it. But I do want everybody that is just jumping in, make sure you check out, like I said, go back, check out the whole episode. This was a fun conversation. Definitely not near enough time to get into a lot of the stuff I would love to talk about, but hopefully that's a great opportunity to have Yat back on for sure, and chit chat for more. Like I said, Yat, you're now a part of the Color and Motion family, so you're always welcome. I always love past friends and guests coming back on the show just to share and really connect with people. Make sure that you do connect with Yat on his social channels here. Let me throw them up here. You can find him you can go to his website, yattytheman.com. LinkedIn, connect with him. That's where I connected with him at. He's also on Instagram. You can check out more of his amazing work there, Twitter, YouTube. Make sure you do hop on over there. See, I just showed a little bit of his stuff, and definitely I love the style. Like I said, we're both motion design alum there, so we love motion design. But make sure you connect with him. I'll make sure that all this information will be on the show notes on the channel, YouTube channel for sure. But again, I can't thank you enough for taking some time. Like I said, I understand the time difference for sure, but can't thank you enough for coming on the show. First, connecting with me, and two, being my friend. I always tell everybody, when I have a pre-call with everybody, I don't have guests on. I like to say I have my friends on. The fact that we've connected and built this relationship and friendship, I'm so glad, and can't wait to have you back on the show for sure.
Oh, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Glad to be your friend as well, and glad to be on the show, honestly.
Awesome. If you could hang out for just 1 second while I close out the show, I'd appreciate it. But again, everybody, please help me thank my man Yatty the Man for coming on the show, and can't wait to get him back on for sure. Awesome. Hang out for a second there, Yat. Everybody, this has been an amazing last episode. I hope you check it out for sure. So looking forward to season 4, going into season 4 in 2024. Can't believe it. 4 years. Oh, man. This has been a heck of a ride. I got a lot of great things, like I said, planned for season 4, the new season for sure. But was super thankful that Yat, so graciously closed out the season for us. So I appreciate that. Again, thank all of you for, like I said, just being a part of the show. Also giving me a little bit of your time. I always appreciate that for sure. And can't thank you enough. You're the ones that help alongside the guests that I have on. You're the ones that help to make this show as good as it is, and as big as it is. I appreciate that. You inspire me to keep going and keep trying to take it up to the next level. Can't thank you enough. Again, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting season 3. I hope you are as excited about season 4 as I am, and all the new things I plan on trying to bring to you. Thank you. Everybody have a great weekend and a great week. And I will see you in season 4. Cheers, everybody.